Welcome back to the Sound for More channel and welcome back to another tutorial and demonstration. Today I have the pleasure to introduce you to Gatelab 2 from Audiomodern. Before I continue, I would like to remind my viewers to subscribe as it helps with growing the channel. Additionally, if you would like to support what I do, please make sure to check the instruction contained in each video description. Thank you again. Right, so Gatelab 2, it's an insert effect at the moment utilized in AUM. It comes, of course, supporting different platforms like desktop, Windows, Mac, but also iPadOS, like in this case. And it is used to create fantastic rhythms from sound that you may have already available. So let's start with some sounds from a viral synth. Nice type of pad organ type of sound. And when you are presented with the UI of Gatelab, this is what you have on the screen. Starting at the very top, we have the selection of your different preset. The initial one is called init. It's always great to have an init preset because it allows you to go back to standard configuration. But then, of course, you can move alongside a number of already provided presets from Audiomodern, which is, as always, amazing and good to have. In this part of the application, you can import presets, you can do a backup and export, and of course, you can click here on the heart to actually make your favorite as well. So let's go and use the arrow here to move to the right to the next preset. And as you can see, Gatelab has loaded a new preset. And at the bottom of the screen, you have this representation of dual sequencer for both left and right channel. So one sequencer running here and another sequencer running at the bottom. So of course you need to play to get it to work. So let's disable the sync, and I'm going to use the play inside the application itself. So you should hear that is opening and closing at different steps the audio that is passing through Gatelab. So let's try a different type of preset. Let's go even further with something a little bit more interesting like this one. So as you can hear, it is opening and closing audio as it's moving through the different presets. And as you can see, we have 32 steps here. Okay, so if you count them, there are 32. And we are in stereo mode, so we have one sequencer here and another one at the bottom there. If I click on mono, I'm going to have only one sequencer available. So pretty straightforward in terms of how it works. You also see here two types of different selection. The one which is selected at the moment is opening and closing the gate. So if I was to click here to create a new step, you see it goes up to the top as a maximum. If I select this option here, I can choose the volume for opening and closing, which is really, really good. And of course, I can click and hold and create or draw a different pattern like so. And let's try it. And of course, I can go fancy, right? I can create something like that to create something pulsating. You can hear granularity as it moves from one step to the next. That is dictated by these movements as well, so you can change that. Click and hold and then move up and down, like so. So you can hear now that as it moves from one step to the next and is changing the volume for each steps, it is quite smooth, the transition. But if I was to lower that down to 0, let's try again. So you hear the transition, which is quite granular. It's more a step type of transition. You can adjust also the wetness as well. Which again is very, very useful. And you can adjust also swing as a parameter, which again, great options to have at your disposal. You can change the number of steps here, click and hold again, up and down. If you hold for a little bit longer, you have the option, of course, and of course, if you don't move, of changing the screen to this window where you can do learning MIDI CC, and you can do all your assignment against one external controller. But if not, click and hold and move up and down to change the number of steps that you have available for this sequencer. In this case, just one of them, because we are working in mono. Now you can change the rate as well. So a similar thing, click and hold, move up and down, and you can see it's changing the speed or rate at which it moves between one step to the next. Now you can change direction. You can go in reverse like so. Or you can have it ping pong, so which is really great, left and right, which is really, really good. Okay, so the other thing that you can do is you can limit. You can decide here, click and hold, limit to a part of step like so. So it will play only between these different steps. If you are in stereo and you link the left and right channel, as you click on one step, you can see it is created at the same level, in this case, on both the top channel and the bottom channel. So both for left and right channel as well. You can also lock steps so that they don't change as you randomize, because indeed, if you click here on this big button and you have random selected, you can randomize. So in this case, I blocked these two steps for not being randomized. And of course, you can click on the reset button to remove the locks you just establish. If you have random, the degree of randomness applied depends on the slider up to 100%, and you can see it is changing in terms of level of randomization directly on the sequencer. Okay, so that is pretty straightforward. Or you can click on remix. In that case, you change the type of variation that you can create against what you just randomized. So you see the number of steps that changes are less. You can click on instance and you get immediately a different type of pattern. Additionally, what you can also do, you can click here on this button, click and hold. It's just like not listening to the audio as it is still moving through the different steps. So you can see that when I release this button, the cursor continue to appears on the relevant step, so it doesn't stop from where I click, moving from one step to the next. Now I can change the density here. I can change the count of the density here. So I can set it up to, for example, 2, and I can click randomize here. You can see 1 and 2 step where I change the density. Of course, I need to activate this. So you can turn it on and off. And now when it goes to this particular step or this one, it will repeat because the density is equal to 2. And you hear it better if I slow it down a little bit. So you can hear it repeats very, very quickly in terms of opening up and down the different gates for that particular step based on the density selected. I can also reset it like so. And if I click on this button, I can choose a minimum and maximum level for that I can use for randomization. So I can go from high to frame, like so. So you have different level, and of course it depends on the number of count that you have available. So you can say choose a minimum of 2 and a maximum of 3, for example. Okay, so in some cases you find 3, in some cases you find 2. Okay, and the count here in terms of density is actually 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 per channel, of course, because you have it also underneath. Now you have also the option to turn on a filter. Okay, here you can choose a band pass, high pass, and low pass. You can adjust the frequency and the resonance as well. Standard has a lot of the controls and preview applications from Gatelab. Here you can turn infinite mode so that at the end of playing the steps that you have in the sequencer, it will randomize again. You can also set it to repeat, like for example twice before it randomizes again. Again, that's your choice. And then you have this useful function here where you can, for example, disintegrate or degrade or reduce the number of steps or make them grow as well. And here you set the number of passes that you wanted to do. So for example, 10, and we're going to reduce the number of steps. You can see as per every pass, they are being reduced. So the level is dropping more and more and more. Of course, depends also on what mode you are operating. Like in this case, in terms of gate mode, then it is actually removing step, going down to a point where there are really no steps available. And you can do the same here for grow. You can also bypass it completely, right? Other things that you can, of course, do, if you click here, you have the ability to actually save a preset. You can give it a name. You can also randomize the name, and you can save it, okay? And so that is useful because you can also import it for later operation. Undo and redo option, always useful, and also the ability to store really the work that you have been doing. So let's randomize these like so and store it there, so we can move left and right between the different stored presets that I have created. Okay, so again, really straightforward. The I button here is to get the relative links to Audiomodern manual videos, support website, the forum. So lots of different options. And of course, you have settings here where you can change your MIDI map channel, which is set to Omni. So it receives for in any channels. And then, of course, you can change that, of course, to different MIDI channel. And then here you can do all your different mapping by keys or CC message, and then you choose which one you want to use. And of course, you can click reset all if you want to go back to the default settings. At the bottom here, I already selected a change in font size because I find it too small. For example, the default one. So you can change it, go up by 10, 20%. Okay, so that is a really useful feature. And then here you have also an option for your MIDI output 1 and 2 in this case. Okay, and then you can turn them on. You can establish the CC range. Again, you can choose your channel here if it is active, and of course you can reset the changes. So pretty straightforward. Really great work from Audiomodern on this second version. And of course, I haven't mentioned here that you can move left and here left and right, and you can also change the density here just clicking underneath like so. Again, really useful set of options and really straightforward to use. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial and demonstration, and as always, see you next time. Bye.